today I have a guest on specifically for remodeling contractors and marketing. Welcome to the show, Brooks Burnett, CEO of Remodel Research Marketing. How are you doing today?
Doing good. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for being on the show. Before we dive into all the good tips and everything as far as remodelers and marketing, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are now.
Yeah. So again, my name is Brooks Burnett. Owner. The name of my company is Remodel Reach Marketing, like you're reaching for something. So yeah. And so it's a marketing agency specifically for remodeling contractors, and we're full service. So we do websites, SEO, advertising. And we do a lot with sales and like sales help and preparation and things like that in our program. And we do it just for remodeling contractors. But, in marketing, especially digital marketing, a lot of it is generally the same, like SEO and advertising. A lot of that is very, very similar. So you can apply, some of the strategies and maybe some things that we'll talk about to the various industries within contracting, so that's just a little bit about me.
So how did you get into this? Were you always a marketer? Were you in construction?
So believe it or not, I was actually a high school teacher for about 4 years right after college. And while I was still in college, I was already looking for ways out. And so I was looking for just different career paths and, just different skills, and landed on Facebook ads or, just online marketing in general. And started learning how to do Facebook ads and did it for a few family businesses and friends' businesses and things like that. And, just got into it that way. And then just started learning more, because I would have people come to me and say like, well, all right, we're doing Facebook ads, but we need a new website and we need to do this. And how do we show up on Google and blah, blah, blah. And so I would just learn what else people needed and what everyone else needed when it comes to digital marketing. And so then started off as a generalist agency. So someone who serves everybody, every industry, it doesn't really matter. But then really decided to niche down into remodeling. And we can get into that if you would like, but I'll let you take the lead on that.
So why do you think it's important for remodelers specifically to have a marketing plan?
Well, the main reason, remodelers, they can really be split into two different groups of people. You've got the people who like to just focus on referrals, and they are just a very heavily referral based business. And that's about, I would say, probably from what I've seen and spoken with, and from people I've talked to in the industry, that's like 60 or maybe not 60, maybe like 40% or so of remodelers just focus on referrals. They have a website and they have some things going, but really ultimately that's what they're going for. And then the other 60%, 60 to 50% or whatever it is, they're the ones that like want the full marketing plans. And it's really good not to have all of your eggs in one basket. So if you're a business that's focusing on referrals and that's all you're getting, you're going to be lacking. There's only so many referrals you can get, and so there's a lot of different benefits to doing both. And I have a webinar show. I did a full webinar once on how to prioritize both referrals and generating leads. And so the businesses that I work with and that we speak with, that prioritize both the referrals and bringing in new leads, they're the ones that really grow, because they don't shy away from the referrals and they don't shy away from the full marketing plans. And they're the ones that really like to succeed. And those are the ones that we like to work with.
So what does a marketing plan look like for a remodeler? Where should they focus their efforts?
Yeah. So when it comes to everything that I do is in the digital space. So we don't really do a lot of traditional, quote unquote, traditional marketing. So like billboards and, print media and things like that. I have resources. We can help with that. But this is all in terms of digital. And so I'm sorry, I forgot the question.
No. What does a specific plan look like for a remodeler as far as marketing?
Okay. Sorry. So really for remodeling, a lot of it is based on authority. and building your authority and building trust in your community. Okay, and so when it comes to advertising and getting in front of your customers and things like that, that's important. But at the end of the day, remodeling is a completely separate industry from painting contractors or plumbers or pretty much every other home service provider.
Mhm.
And the reason for that is because a lot of the home service industry is very quick. They need leads now. Maybe they have an emergency, part of their business, like, electricians or, tree service, like a tree falls down in someone's driveway or something. But remodeling is more on a want basis rather than a need, or at least the contractors that we work with. Handymen and, people that can replace things, broken things in someone's house. That's a little bit different of a story. But for the design builders, those guys are doing new kitchens, bathroom, whole home remodels and things like that. They're the ones that really, really need that plan. And so a lot of the authority is just kind of showing people, hey, we are the best option, and here's why. So you're showing them by showing up at the top of Google. A lot of people don't realize, but SEO is good to get in front of the people who are searching for your services. But ultimately, it's an authority builder as well. People just tend to trust the businesses that are showing up on the first page of Google more than they do other businesses, right? And so everything that we do on the front end is an authority builder. So when it comes to someone's website or their landing page, we want to get, videos, preferably videos of the owner right at the top of the page, welcoming someone to their company. We like to have our customers explain what their process looks like to their customers, so people start to build that trust. And so it's different. It's using the same things like advertising, like SEO, like websites and all that. It's the same thing, but the point of all that is to really grow their authority and build trust. And that's ultimately the goal.
So what platforms are remodelers specifically trying to be on or should be on?
Yeah, so Google is always going to be, or I shouldn't say always, but it always has been number one. And so Google by far, it's funny because there's all these other platforms like Yelp and Angie's List and Houzz and Nextdoor and all these different listing platforms. But to get to those, a lot of people just go to Google anyway. They Google kitchen remodeler near me, and then they'll scroll down and they'll see Yelp or Angie's List, and they'll click on those. And so they have to go to Google anyway. And so if you can prioritize Google and do what we call front page dominance, where you're showing up everywhere on Google in every possible location, it just really helps people to find you and just get in contact. And so that's ultimately the goal. So I would, if anyone's listening, trying to prioritize, where do I focus? Google is always going to be number one. So that's what we like to push.
So is Google's based on your website, right? Or is there other things that Google is based on?
So it depends. So Google is really split into 4 different sections typically. And so there's 2 advertising platforms, and then there's 2 SEO platforms. And so the first section is typically going to be some type of ad. You have Google local service ads. So that's one. And then the second is typically just the Google search ads. And so those 2 advertising platforms are different, but they can still show up at the top of Google. And so, you see a couple of different things and it says sponsored at the top of it. And so those are the first 2. Then the other 2 is Google Maps. That little box where there's 3 or 4 listings in there. That's Google Maps. And that's for your Google business profile. I know there's a lot of stuff, but then everything below is the Google organic section. So there's really 4 sections on Google that you can put time and effort into. And so there's really not one thing you can do, unfortunately. on Google to see good results. You can maybe focus on one over the other. Like if you want to start some local service ads or something like that and start showing up there, that's good. But you really need a full plan and someone to manage all of that to make sure you're ranking, in all four locations.
So you mentioned SEO. And I know a little bit it has to do with the website, and that's not paid marketing. So what is SEO? Just break it down, and how can the remodeler control that, or how can they use that?
Yeah. So SEO stands for search engine optimization. And essentially what that is just manipulating your website and manipulating your Google business profile to rank at the top of Google. Because at the end of the day, Google is a listing platform, just like Angie, Nextdoor and all those different places. And they have their own criteria for why one business ranks over another. And so the best thing, if I could tell remodeling contractors to do one thing that they can do to see better results everywhere online, is to get more reviews. And so get more Google reviews, get as many reviews as you possibly can. Because it's funny, we actually see better advertising better advertising results. We see better local service ads performance. We see we just see better rankings for the businesses who get more reviews. And that's one thing that every contractor could improve upon, is getting those reviews. And so when it comes to remodeling, it's extremely important because a lot of them don't do a whole lot of jobs. And so they typically do anywhere from like 2 to maybe 8 jobs, 3 to 8, somewhere around there. And so they need to get reviews. And so they need to get as many reviews as they can, since they're not doing as many jobs. Plumbers or landscapers, they can get over 1,000 reviews, in a couple of years. But remodelers, if you're doing just a handful of jobs every month, it's going to be a lot more difficult. So it needs to be a priority.
Gotcha. Is there any other content that they can put on their website, remodel, to help with the SEO? Or is it mostly?
Yeah. So the one thing that you can definitely do is blogging. Just adding content with rich keywords, and things like that onto your website is good. But one thing that we do that's new, one thing that we do for our clients that's new, is we make case study pages. Okay. And so a case study page is essentially, well, we call it like a featured project or a featured job or, portfolio, whatever the client wants to call it. But essentially what it is it's a full page dedicated to one project. Okay. And so what that does is it showcases pretty much every step of the project for the customer when they go to read it, but also for SEO purposes, it helps to, we like, for example, we could title it something like "Full Kitchen Remodel in Residential Home in Atlanta," or whatever. So for matching it for their keywords, right? Mm-hmm. And so it serves multiple purposes. Ultimately, it's there to help with the SEO. And, we have pictures and we have description of the job and, just a bunch of keywords and links and things like that for SEO. But ultimately, it's better than a blog because honestly, how many people are going to really sit down and read a blog on a remodeling website? Pretty much nobody, right? But if it's someone who's interested and is, showing some type of interest, looking through these case studies, they get to see actual before and afters. They get to see, a breakdown of how they got the job done and, what it took and the materials used and things like that. So it's really helpful for making that sale ultimately as well.
Gotcha. So would you do like a daily update or like a weekly update of what happened on the project?
Yeah, no, I would recommend just one a month. Gotcha. Because they do take a while to write. You have to write them and build it out and things like that. And that's what we do anyway at our agency. Typically that's enough. Google Google, they like to see that a website or a Google business profile, they like to see you doing updates consistently. So it really doesn't matter the frequency as long as it's consistent. So, if you're doing a blog a month or 2 blogs a month or even 5 blogs a month, that's fine, but they want to see that consistency. And so yeah, 1 a month should be fine.
Okay, so we like pictures and everything, but why should remodelers use video?
Well, so video is just more interactive. It's something that a lot of other remodelers just aren't doing, and it gets a lot of information across very quickly. And so, so we as part of our program, we send out a team. We'll send out a team to record for a 4 to 5 hour session, give or take. Whatever the client wants. Typically, it's like a welcome video, and we have scripts and send things out like that. But it just gets a lot of information across very quickly. So a story that I like to tell is I've got a client here in Atlanta, and they never used videos or really anything like that, and they would have typically a 2-hour sales meeting. So like they would have people come into their showroom and, talk about their project after the estimate's already sent, and, measurements have been taken, and it's kind of like the final meeting. And they told me that these meetings were lasting for like 2 hours, but the whole first hour was just kind of like history of the business, example projects and, things that could have been covered before. And so we use videos to supplement that and, get some of that initial information out of the way. And so ended up saving them, like cutting in like an hour off of their sales meetings. And so that's really what it's for, just making sure that people understand who you are as a remodeling company or as a construction company, what the process looks like, who's going to be coming over to your house, right? And being the owner who's standing up and explaining it to them, it just helps to build that rapport, build that trust, and it's just very, very effective.
So what type of budget does somebody have to have a pretty effective marketing plan?
So, thankfully for remodelers, like we said, they typically don't need a whole lot of leads, because they're only doing a handful of projects per month, right? And so that's good. These tree service or landscapers, they need a ton of leads, so they need a huge budget, right? And so it's hard to say, it's hard to put a number to it, but what we like to do is I like to tell people the 5% rule or the 10% rule. I'm sure a lot of people have heard it, but it's just 5%, 5 to 10% of your gross income each month should be dedicated to marketing, and so you can do the math there, but that just gives people a good starting point. Typically that tends to be a little high, believe it or not, for a lot of remodeling contractors, especially if they're doing over $1 million a year. I wouldn't expect someone to be spending $10,000 a month on marketing. That's a little bit high, but it's just a good place to start. And, when you work with a lot of people who, or a lot of remodelers who have never marketed before, and they're trying to figure out how to do it, and they've just relied on referrals, they really need a place to say, okay, we can still be good with this percentage or this amount of money each month. And so that 5 to 10% rule is generally a good place to start.
Gotcha. Now, how effective is paid social? First, what is paid social, and then how effective is it for remodelers?
So social media is an interesting topic. The advertising, unfortunately, is kind of on the way out. From what I've seen, so like doing Facebook ads or doing like a boosted post or something on social media, they're not quite as effective at generating the leads. Well, sometimes they might generate leads, but they're typically not as serious. They're not as qualified of leads. It's people just window shopping. Because at the end of the day, too, you got to keep in mind when someone's scrolling on Facebook and they see a kitchen or a kitchen remodeling job, they're probably not going to say, I've been wanting to redo my kitchen. Let's just chunk $50,000 at this,
Yeah.
And so they might fall through, when they get down the pipeline. You may reach back out and they say, well, I'm just, window shopping and blah, 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 things like that. And so we typically try to stay away from advertising on social media, at least for our industry. And but when it comes to social media itself, so like posting on your Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it may be, all of those things are highly, highly encouraged. But we take we recommend a little bit of a different approach. Whenever you go to Facebook and you type in, remodeler or kitchen remodel or whatever it may be, 99% of the pictures that you're going to see, of the pages that you see of remodeling contractors, almost all of them are just going to be after pictures, or before and after pictures. And that's good. Obviously you need to showcase your work, but we always recommend that our customers make it a little bit more personalized. Okay, so showcase yourself as the owner, showcase your workers, showcase your employees, have a birthday picture of your employees when it's their birthdays. Because ultimately, when people hire you as a remodeling contractor, you're going to be in their home for a month, 2 months. And so you've got to get familiar with your customers. And so social media, having pictures of your employees on your website is highly, highly encouraged. And so I always tell my customers, you kind of want to do like a 50-50 with your social media. 50% of your posts need to be before and afters. You obviously have to showcase your jobs, but the other 50 need to be pictures of you, videos of you, like doing a walkthrough, of your job, of your finished projects, and, just kind of just being in front of the camera, and just letting people know who you are. And so that's how we kind of approach social media.
I'm sure you get a little bit of a pushback on being in front of the camera from these guys.
Sometimes, yeah. And it's just kind of like a suck it up and just do it anyway kind of response there.
So what would a plan look like if somebody came to you and they kind of had a website, it hadn't been updated forever, they really don't have social? What kind of plan, where would you start, I guess?
Yeah, it would start with a brand new website. Okay. And so websites are always it's going to be the most important thing that we do, because everything stems from the website, right? When we're doing SEO, when you're ranking at the top of Google, when they click that link, they go to the website. On your social media, when someone finds you there and they want to learn more, they go to the website. On your business cards, it's listed, and so that's kind of where everyone goes. And so your website needs to be built so that way people can come in, learn about you, learn who you are and what you do, and then they take action. That's something that a lot of people forget about websites. They just want to fill it with their pictures and maybe videos and all that, and all that's good. But then people have to do something with the information that they're getting. So it's like, okay, great. I went to this. I'm looking for a new bathroom. And I went to this website and, they've got good pictures, but I don't know what to do now. There's no phone number. I don't see a form anywhere. So I'm just going to go to the next guy, or the next one on the list. And so we have to make our websites eye-catching and make sure people want to stay on the site. But then people have to know what to do next. They have to know what the next steps are. And so that's the most important thing right there, the website.
So tell me about your favorite client success story.
Yeah, so one of them would be out of a kind of rural area here in Georgia, and this guy was very, very marketing minded, and he was very open to all the suggestions that we had, and just didn't have much of an online presence at all. we came in, built a brand new website for them, open to everything. That's what's good. That's when it works well, when the clients are open to everything. And so we told them, make your videos. Here's the videos that you need to make. Here's this, and the guy went out, bought a camera, started recording the videos on his own, and just doing the things that we suggest and just seeing them work. And they're ranked at the top of their area now for almost all of the keywords that they want to be ranking for, and steady lead flow. They're doing about I'd say probably 12 to 15 jobs per month. I would say. It depends on the contractor, but so doing about 10 to 15 jobs per month or so. And just everything's worked for them. And so that's really the best feeling, when you get someone and you tell them to do what we suggest, and they do it, because that's one thing, again, that's kind of different about remodeling. There's a lot more that the owners typically have to do than with other industries, getting in front of the camera, at least once, right? And being there to explain and educate what their process looks like. And so really just trying to find those guys that are willing to do that is the key right there.
Yeah, they have to be involved. That can't just pay you to do it all.
Exactly. I can't make the videos for them.
And so we kind of covered, I just want to make sure. So what is the best lead generation source for remodelers? Is it Google?
I would say Google. Yeah. So either the local service ads, either Google local service ads or Google search ads. Local service ads are going to be way easier to set up because they're really essentially managed by Google. We help our clients set them up, but we don't really charge for that, because it's Google kind of writes the ads for you, kind of thing. It's kind of complicated, but those are the easiest way to get started, is local service ads. But I would caution against trying to focus on just one, kind of like what I was saying earlier, just doing one thing. Because when you do really good at one thing, you're lacking in some other areas as well. But if someone wants to get started, want to try their hand in something, I would recommend Google local service ads.
Gotcha. So if somebody wanted to find out more about you and your business, where would they go?
So, I guess come to my website. I don't have a very good online footprint. I guess come to my website, which is just remodelreachmarketing.com. I've got a YouTube channel with a lot of webinars where we go over all of these topics in detail. So like, for example, I just had one last week for local service ads. And so we went into everything there is to know about it and how to do it, things to look for. And so my YouTube channel is probably the best area. Yeah.
Which is what is that under your name, or is that under your company name?
It would just be my company name. So just Remodel Reach Marketing. And yeah, I've got a bunch of different stuff there.
Gotcha. We'll put everything in the show notes. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to be on the show.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.